What the f?
Sack Russell T Davies, sack Jane Tranter, sack Phil Collinson, sack Julie Gardner, and I'll come back.
Hey look guys, it's the 16th Doctor. Come one, come all to a special type of video. Hooray, hooray. You all will be winning. You the viewers, you will be winning tonight, as I'm going to be uploading this video and then my review for the Doctor Who Season 2 finale, The Reality War. But separate to that, not only do you get my previous video where I talked about how I was concerned for the finale, you also get this as a nice little added bonus. Hooray! In that last video, entitled I'm Concerned for the Season 2 finale, I laid the groundwork for my biggest fears surrounding this story, which is that less so about the quality of it, less so about the content of the episode, and more so about the tone it sets for all discussion going forward in the next 2 years at least of Doctor Who. And it ends with Ncuti Gatwa regenerating into Billie Piper as the 16th Doctor. Let me preface this by saying that I am such a humongous fan of Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor. I've loved this era so far. I genuinely have. It was off to a rocky start with the 60th, but I've enjoyed all of Ncuti Gatwa's run, bar maybe one episode. I've loved it. I've been a big fan of Rusty Davies, always and even now. And it feels like a betrayal. I feel particularly hurt as someone who's liked what they've done for so long. I feel particularly hurt. I feel particularly betrayed. I feel embarrassed. I feel like a clown. I feel like a fool. I feel like a complete idiot. So spoilers, I guess, but I hate this. I hate this decision. I hate it. It's what it represents for the show. Every single element of what it represents is just awful. It's just terrible. Okay, let's break it down. What am I talking about exactly? The decision to regenerate Ncuti Gatwa is one that I can understand. Right, he's an actor in high demand. When the Ncuti Gatwa era began, I was always under the assumption that, well, he was only going to do 2 series. I always assumed that. That's what I naturally thought. You can go back to my original videos and I was saying that he might be one of the first Doctors who filmed his regeneration before his first episode even aired. Now we don't know if that's true because there were all those rumours about reshoots, but goddamn, I feel like such an idiot. I made a video saying, will Ncuti Gatwa regenerate? No, he won't. Of course they wouldn't. They wouldn't just randomly drop his regeneration episode without any build-up. Okay, so there's layers to this. Skip to here if you want me to go full in deep and rant and rave about Billie Piper and the decision to cast her as the 16th Doctor. Before that, let's talk about the nature of rumours and leaks in Doctor Who. So it's no secret that this series of Doctor Who has been leaked to high heaven. I talked about in a previous video how I have not seen any leaks for the series, and I genuinely believe that to be true until I watched someone else's video on the topic. I watched it yesterday. It was talking about leaks in Doctor Who and how leaks have ruined Doctor Who, and it told me how much of this series had actually been spoiled and ruined for me. I had not read any leaks. I had not seen anything that was marked as a leak. No one told me that what I was reading was a leak, but I did know that The Well was a sequel to Midnight. I assumed that was a rumour. Nope, that was a leak. I was spoiled. Conrad being a villain. The Rani. I didn't think that that was real. I thought that was a meme. I thought that was a joke. We all made the joke that Mrs. Flood is the Rani. When it actually turned out to be true, I thought, wow, that's crazy. Not realising that I had been spoiled. I had been spoiled. And now Ncuti Gatwa regenerating. I thought that was a baseless rumour. It was true. It was true. And the whole series and all of the impact of all of these key moments were all robbed from me because of these leaks. And it makes me miserable. Because last year, I didn't get spoiled at all. Yes, we could all kind of guess that Sutekh would be returning, but that's because one of the episodes had a direct homage to the Pyramids of Mars. That one didn't feel spoiled. That felt earned. I had a theory that was based on actual evidence in the text, and it was proven right, and it felt great. And now, Billie Piper, I thought that was a joke. Someone said that as like a real rumor, and I instantly dismissed it because obviously it's the worst possible choice you could have. I mean, that is the worst choice, I feel like, to cast a Doctor ever, right? Like even Freema Agyeman, Catherine Tate, Karen Gillan. Karen Gillan might actually be a good Doctor. Billie Piper, it's everything that represents. I have tried to record this a few times, mostly because when I sit here thinking about what to say, I don't have a script because this is just right after the episode. I'm mostly just sitting here in silence. My brain is bubbling away, but I don't feel anything but sadness and betrayal. There's that anger there, that brief spark, that brief flame that's so entertaining to you guys at home. But the truth is, and the reason I was so nervous about it is exactly this, because it's left me feeling empty. It's left me feeling like an idiot. It's made me the butt of the joke. I'm the DW Fan 91, DW Doctor Who, my whole brand, my whole channel. I make videos every week, multiple a week. I talk about it all the time, and the joke is on me. The joke's on me, because they made Billy Piper the 16th Doctor. Get excited, people, get excited. The Timeless Child was a turning point. I remember a lot of people were angry about it. I understood the criticisms. I got it. I wasn't necessarily angry about it because they had all these caveats to it, right? They had this scene where Ryan said it doesn't change who you are. They had the groundwork for at least a solid story there. With The Timeless Child, we have seen it dissipate into nothing as coronavirus came in and tore all of the plans down. Looking back in retrospect, we are left with the ruins of a heavily flawed, not very good idea that ruptured the very foundations of canon, in quotation marks, in Doctor Who. But I always understood, and I always understood this with people who had a problem with the Timeless Child. I've defended the Timeless Child, but I've also acknowledged all of its major flaws, and its biggest isn't the fact that it messes with canon. It isn't the fact that the 14th Doctor, well, technically it's possible for a previous Doctor to come back. It's what it represents, right? It's all on the emotional level. What emotion does the story evoke? And the Timeless Child, while evoking some potential of emotion there, you can turn the idea into something cool. Division is a cool idea. There is some interesting things that can be done with a double life and all of that. What it represents is kind of the end of the old story of Doctor Who, of the Doctor being anyone, right? And I've understood that. Now, jumping ahead a few years into the future, there was the regeneration of Jodie Whittaker into the 14th Doctor, David Tennant. Now again, one can argue about the canonicity of all of it and how did the clothes change and all of these things, and I'm not saying you're wrong for caring about that stuff, just as I say you're not wrong for caring about the Timeless Child and if it breaks canon or not. But again, for me, the concern comes from the emotion and the meta element of it, the show out of the show. I made a video called A Brief Explanation of Doctor Who. It's 12 hours. It goes over the entire history of the programme, both in front of and behind the screen, because being a Doctor Who fan means acknowledging the entertainment that comes from the hybridity of that. The story of how Doctor Who has been made is just as interesting to me as the story of Doctor Who. And so creative decisions like these, they have emotional weight on both fronts. Emotional weight on the story of the show and emotional weight on the story of the behind the scenes of the show. There's a reason they're making a whole documentary next week about the 20-year history. It's entertaining. And so the 14th Doctor being announced to be David Tennant, that was a real turning point for me because it's an admission of defeat. That's why I've always hated it. You go back to the past, you grab an old Doctor, it's the most tired, shitty, scummy hack corporate decision you could ever make. It's awful. It's, before this point, the worst creative decision ever in Doctor Who. Models the lineup, it just looks awful, it's terrible. Regardless of the quality of the 60th anniversary specials, that doesn't really matter to me. That creative decision is abysmal. It's terrible. It's only gotten worse with time, but it has now been usurped because The Timeless Child was, at one point, something which I could have my criticisms of, but understand. The 14th Doctor, I had major criticisms for, but I enjoyed the giggle, I enjoyed Wild Blue Yonder, and I thought, you know what, there's potential there, you know, to bring back David Tennant, who is fun as playing the Doctor. So even though I have major qualms, it's not a deal breaker for me. And now, another 2 years have gone by, another 2 years have passed, and I'm out. The deal has been broken for me with modern Doctor Who. It's been chipped away at for the past 10 years or so. Creative decisions, consistent creative decisions that I've thought have been awful. If you guys know me, you know that I've always thought that the original Doctor Who is far superior to its revival counterpart. That said, a lot of episodes in especially the first 5 series of the show, in my opinion, can reach and rival those heights set by the original show. The examples I immediately go to: Dalek, Bad Wolf, Parting of the Ways. Impeccable stories. Yes, I have core problems with the revival and the direction it takes, but there's potential there. And it's good, it's high quality, and I get a lot from it. Then we move past the 50th anniversary, we get to the Capaldi era. Now, the Capaldi era is the golden hen of Doctor Who fandom. Everyone likes to act like it is perfect. It is not. There are a lot of episodes that are incredible, amazing, Heaven Sent, Flatline, love those episodes. There are a lot that are pure dog shit. But for me, more so than any of that, more than the individual episode quality, it all comes down to the mindset behind it. Doctor Who became far too obsessed with its past. Every single episode, countless callbacks. Alpha Centauri people, I enjoy the Empress of Mars. Alpha Centauri showing up in an episode of modern Doctor Who, that marks a turning point. And despite the breath of fresh air that was Series 11, theoretically, Series 12 goes right back to all of my complaints that I had for the series. It is even more obsessed with the past. Bringing us right back to David Tennant's 14th Doctor, even more obsessed with the past. An admission, yeah, this show is washed. Why are you watching it? Watch the old ones are better. That is the meta text of this show. The decision to bring the 14th Doctor back is an admission that all of this stuff since he left is more or less a flop. That's why I hate it, that's what it represents, that's why it sucks. Series 14, again, so many people have different problems with it. I enjoyed it because even though it brought back Sutekh and had the ghoul to play the Pyramids of Mars in a new episode of Doctor Who, it was still something new, or at least it was trying to be. As time marched on, I realised just how derivative it was. And then we get to Series 15, sequels to Midnight, sequels to Robot, Think Tank from Robot, The Fugitive Doctor's back, Susan's back, the Rani's back, Omega's back. Do you remember clip shows? The 13th Doctor's back. And now Billy Piper's back. It's the bottom of the barrel. It's the last gasp. Doctor Who's final episode before likely cancellation, at best hiatus, is an admission that we need to go back. That this new Russell T Davies era doesn't hold a candle to what came before. On that level, it is a complete and utter failure. Diving in more to the specific decision of Billy Piper, I couldn't think of anyone worse. No one. Not one person. I would prefer if Poppy was the next Doctor. Seriously, I can't think of anyone who I'd hate more. I'm sorry, I genuinely can't. Maybe there'll be a few people out there who are positive for this change and like, I remember her. All of my criticisms for all of the stuff that I've disliked, all of it has led to this moment. It is the end shitification of Doctor Who. I didn't have many problems with Series 1. As time progressed, a lot of my problems that I did have evolved and then were added upon, and then were added upon more and more, and now they've reached the climax here, with Billy Piper becoming the Doctor Who. Oh my god, it's a nightmare. When will I wake up? I hang my head in horror, in utter horror.
If you'd wanted to kill it off with a blow to the throat, you couldn't have done it more particularly, because it's like, for anyone who was of a certain generation, you would just throw your hands in horror at the very idea, you know?
This is just one factor, just to show you how I have about 100 reasons, all of which are incredibly detailed and nuanced, to explain why I despise this decision on every level. But beyond that, it brings it all full circle, it brings it back to Series 1. Series 1 of Doctor Who, Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper, is one of the show's strongest, at least the revivals. And part of that is because it is addressing many of the complaints of the latter half of the original run of Doctor Who. A lot of the more stereotyped complaints. The main one being that the archetype of the companion is sexist. This is not new. This has been something that has never really gone away, but back in 2005, oh my goodness, it was everywhere. The big problem in Doctor Who that firmly dated it in the past was the companion, was the role that the companion filled in the story as a female assistant. Now speaking for me, I've never believed that this role is sexist or inherently sexist, or the many arguments that have been levied against it, the many criticisms. I mean, you can find papers on this stuff, but part of the reason, as I just said, that Series 1 was so good is that it addressed all of these criticisms. The easy one to point to is how they redeemed the Daleks. But another one is how they redeemed the companion. Rose is all about her. The story is about Rose. It is thoroughly disproving this age-old, tired, tattered, and incorrect assertion that the companion role is inherently subservient, inherently inferior, and inherently sexist by providing a character who not only is an equal to the Doctor, but is actually, in the eyes of the viewer, more important. They are our eyes and ears into the show. Rose is the reason New Doctor Who works. That attitude to character has totally reformed how the show fundamentally operates. And now we throw it all away to say, actually, being the companion, that's not as good. That's subservient. That's inferior to being the Doctor. She's got to be the actual Doctor. She's got to be the real Doctor now. You can't be important unless you're the Doctor. It thoroughly misunderstands the whole point of Rose as a character, the whole point of getting Billie Piper to play Rose. The Doctor and Rose are different characters. They fulfill polar opposite roles in the story. It's yin and yang. Forgive me for thinking about this way too hard, but it is true. The role of the Doctor and companion are not interchangeable, and both are as important as the other. The only thing which I can think of that's worse than making a previous Doctor the new Doctor is to make the previous companion. It can never work. It doesn't work. I despise it. I hate everything it represents. I also think Billie Piper lacks everything that an actor needs to be the Doctor. How is this possible? Rusty Davies too. You are somehow the first production team ever to miscast the Doctor twice. How? How is that possible? It is the antithesis of what Doctor Who should be. I hated the ending of The Giggle. I hated the 14th Doctor. That is nothing compared to this. I like the 14th Doctor now. In comparison, I do. Relatively, I do. It's the worst decision ever made in Doctor Who history, and I feel like a complete and utter fool and not being more critical and outspoken. I mean, what can I do? I go back in time and say, actually, no, I didn't like Boom. I did like Boom. I liked 73 Yards. I liked The Devil's Cord. I liked Don Bubble. I liked all of these episodes. But the creative decisions are inept. They are sabotage worthy. The fact that the episode's released at fucking midnight. Holy Christ. I didn't want to hold this against the production team. I didn't want to. Screw that bullshit. The reason this show failed, the reason your show failed, is because you let it go out at midnight. What a colossal production oversight. Then you air it at 8 in the morning? Holy Christ, the baboons are running the show. These are the same people who made dramas. They made full dramas where they talked about how Doctor Who was opposite Coronation Street. I'm sorry, it doesn't stand a chance. You air your show at 8 in the morning, 3 a.m. in America. You send it out to die. I haven't talked about viewing figures this whole time because I talked about it briefly last year and it was depressing. It was saddening. And this year it's got an even worse 1.5 million. It's the future of TV landscape. You've dropped off almost 100%. You've dropped from 5 million overnights to 1 million overnights. You've dropped off 4 million viewers. Shooting Atwa's first story was #1 on Christmas Day, topping The King's Speech. Yes, it doesn't reach 10 million, but the figures were good and they were healthy, and you tanked it. You tanked it. Grace Season 3, a middling reviewed, not well liked cop drama on ITV releasing the same week in its 3rd season, got 1 million more viewers. How mishandled is this series? Every single production oversight. There's too much. There's too much. You reread these old DWMs and you hear Rusty Davies saying how he had to organise 8 episodes because that's what they wanted. Help me. How are they so bad at making this show? How is every decision on a production level so garbage? Everything. Russell T Davies coming back. Everything. It represents age. Decay. The insistence on not letting old things die peacefully, but to bring them back to the surface so we can see the skin melt off their bones as the passage of time relentlessly continues. It is apt that the main antagonist for this episode was a skinless skeleton with no teeth and stinking and smelling and dying, because that is what Doctor Who insists on being. It's not what I want it to be. It's not what it should be. It's not what it said it was going to be, but it's what it insists on being. This whole episode was derivative and unsubtle. Shamelessly redid the End of Time plotline without a hint of irony, even copying the 10th Doctor's line back into hell. And they bring back Billie Piper, 20 years older. Don't you like it when your childhood heroes are old and grey? Don't you like seeing Harrison Ford at 80? Don't you like seeing the Ghostbusters at 90? Don't you like seeing David Tennant with all those wrinkles and Photoshop? And he's heaving and hoeing and he can't move like he used to be. Your suit doesn't fit you anymore. Russell T Davies, he came back to tell us that he's not as good as he used to be. How demoralizing. It's not just Doctor Who, this is culture in general. This 2010s insistence, refusal to let go of the past, the Legacy sequel. Do you know what it reminds me of? I tried to watch an episode of The Grand Tour. I loved Top Gear. It was such a brilliant show, and you go back and you watch them and they're still brilliant. And you watch The Grand Tour and Jeremy Clarkson is old. He is slow, he is wrinkly with that distracting potbelly. A reminder that we will all grow old and senile one day. I actually couldn't finish the episode. I had to turn it off because it made me feel sad. Doctor Who used to be full of youth and energy. Every few years there would be a process of renewal that would shake things up, that would bring in new life. That is what regeneration is supposed to be. And in this era so far, Jodie Whittaker has regenerated into David Tennant. David Tennant has regenerated into David Tennant. And Ncuti Gatwa has regenerated into Billie Piper. An episode that canonizes the looms and the Pythia. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why is Billie Piper the next Doctor? Russell T Davies, heart to heart, mind to mind. I don't know you. I've never claimed to know you. I don't know who you are as a person. I don't know what you act like, what you talk like, what your favourite foods are, but I know how you write. I know your creative voice. And I have been a champion of it as an audience member, as many millions of us have been. So just tell us. Tell us why. Why did you think that this would be a good idea? It represents the death of the show. But those are just my initial thoughts. That is just my initial reaction, first impressions rant. What did you guys think? Did you like the reveal of the 16th Doctor? Maybe it's good that Doctor Who is going on a little break for a while. Maybe that will let us just chill for a bit. But you guys are going to be eating good. You're going to be getting this video. You're going to be getting another video. Who knows, you might even be getting another one after that. Isn't that wonderful? So don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and I think the story's just begun.